Hello, Sonoma County. Welcome back. Hey, today we're gonna talk about Guerneville. Just kidding, it's Guerneville. But that's how we know when you don't live in the area, everyone calls it Guerneville. So what's going on out in Guerneville? What makes this such a unique little spot in our county? It is so different than most other areas. So stay tuned if you've never been there, or if you just want to learn a little more about it, because it is such a cool little spot on the west side of Sonoma County. But first, I'm Julie Sullivan with Sullivan Group Real Estate, and we help people move in and out and all around Sonoma County every year. So if you're thinking of making the move anytime soon, this year, maybe it's even a little further out, we would still love to chat with you, help learn what your goals are and get a plan in place, and answer any questions you have about Sonoma County real estate or Sonoma County lifestyles in general. We're here and we're here all the time. I hope to hear from you. All the contact info is right here. So shoot us an email or give me a call. Love to chat. So, all right, Guerneville. What is going on out there? Where is it? What's it all about? It is such a different vibe and feel from most other towns in Sonoma County. I love going out there. It's really fun. I've been going out there since I was a kid, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So where is it located? It's actually on the west side of our county. It is 65, 70 miles from San Francisco. So once you get off the Golden Gate Bridge, you're gonna come right up 101 as you do to get everywhere in Sonoma County. But as you get to the north end of Santa Rosa, you actually head out River Road and you head out west about another 20 minutes or so down a 2-lane country road, really cool. And you land in the town of Guerneville and the little surrounding communities and towns. It is located right on the Russian River. The Russian River kind of starts way north. They go much more north, further north than Sonoma County, comes down through the county and then heads out west and kind of snakes its way through the Guerneville area and ends up out in the Pacific Ocean. So, salmon spawn all up and down the Russian River, and then they find their little way out and get deposited out into the Pacific Ocean where they grow up. The Russian River has been a long time, one of the oldest areas in Sonoma County, actually dating back to the 1800s, kind of about the 1875-ish time. It was a big logging industry was in that area because of the redwood trees that exist there. So logging and mining, they were mining for quicksilver, or AKA mercury, and the logging went on into the early 1900s, and that's when James Armstrong came along, thank goodness, and put an end to the logging. And that is why we are able to enjoy the enormous giant redwood trees that we'll talk about in a few minutes to this day. So, and those trees are enjoyed in an area, well, they're all over, but there's an area called Armstrong Woods after James Armstrong. So once the logging went away, the mining kind of went away as well. And in the meantime, though, because of the logging, railroads were put into the area to have a way to move these giant trees out. And so those railroad cars got replaced with passenger cars. And it was a way to bring people up from San Francisco and the Bay Area in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Well, I guess kind of like even earlier 1900s, 20s, and in a little bit into the 30s, that's how they got up into the area, and it became a great vacation destination for the city folks back in the day. But then, in the 1930s, we all know what happened with the Great Depression, and over the years, the railroads weren't maintained, and most of the tracks did get dismantled, but now people were driving cars, and so people from the Bay Area still, it was like an hour and a half, or back in the day there wasn't Highway 101, it probably took quite a few hours, but it was a wonderful still vacation destination for Bay Area folks. Like I said, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was born in San Francisco and grew up right out on the outskirts of it, and as kids we came up to the Russian River. We called it the Russian River. It was Guerneville. I mean, as a kid I thought we were a million miles away when we got there. I didn't realize really how close we were to home. But my mom and dad, my aunts and uncles and cousins, they'd all rent some. We stayed at this place called the Hexagon House, and it had cabins and a swimming pool, and it was right near the river in Armstrong Woods, and we'd go fish for crawdads and go in the river and swim in the swimming pools and hang out in these cabins. As I got older, there was another area called Rio Nido that had some homes that apparently a lot of them were owned by the plumbers union, and one of my uncles happened to be a plumber, just kind of funny, and so we'd rent some of those homes sometimes as well. And that was another great community. Again, you had the river, and they had like a community swimming pool and big community area there that is still there to this day. I'll tell you about that too. So the Russian River area is home to full-time residents, but still to this day is a vacation and getaway spot for a lot of people in the greater Bay Area, because it is really relatively so close. And it's a community where a lot of people have their second homes. So there's a lot of VRBO and Airbnb rentals in the area as well. So when you come to the Guerneville Russian River area, what do? What's going on out there? Honestly, guys, there's so much to do. Again, you feel like you're in another world, really, because it's pretty rustic out there. There's Armstrong Woods, which is home to these giant redwoods. Like I said, they're everywhere, but some of the oldest and largest trees are located in Armstrong Woods, and they have so many hiking and walking trails that they have maps, and when you check in there, when you enter the park, there's maps they'll give you, and you can pick which route you want to go, and a lot of the old trees are labeled, and there is some history about them. The oldest tree, this is kind of cool, the oldest tree in Armstrong Woods, they believe is over 3,300 years old. I mean, what? Like, wrap your head around that. So they figured, through all the science and everything, they figured that the tree had a circumference of 17 feet when Christ was born. That's crazy. It's crazy to even think something can be that old and still be standing. And then there's another tree. The tallest tree in there is over, it's almost 470 feet tall and has a circumference of almost 50 feet. They're just huge. They're massive. They're majestic, and it's just such a beautiful place to walk around, and it's really great. You're up there in the summer and it's a hot day, but you walk around Armstrong Woods, and I mean, it's going to be hot, but at least it's shaded. It's so shaded from the trees. They just provide such a canopy. Bring a picnic, hang out. It's a wonderful, wonderful spot. So there's Armstrong Woods. Then of course there's the river, right? The main attraction, shall we say, of coming up to that area. Like I said, the Russian River starts way north, but as it snakes through the Guerneville area out there, you'll be driving down River Road, the main road to get into town, and at one point the river's on the right side of you, and then you cross a bridge, and the next thing you know, it's over on the left side of you. So it really does kind of around through the area. The river is it's a relatively calm river, so it makes it ideal for just going and swimming in the river, inner tubes, inflatables. A lot of people, they do like a whole river float afternoon. They'll tie all their tubes together. They'll even have a tube for their cooler and just float along the river. There's kayaks and canoes, even paddle boarding, because it is so calm. A couple, I think probably the main beach, or the one I usually go to, is Johnson's Beach. Again, been there forever. They put out all these umbrellas on the beach, and so you go and you pick out your spot under one of the umbrellas. Again, you can bring a cooler and a picnic. They rent inflatables and canoes and kayaks, and they'll even rent more umbrellas and lawn chairs. I mean, if you just came with nothing, they have a snack bar. They do like burgers and hot dogs, and they're always known for their Frosties that are still only like $1 or $2. They hardly ever raise their prices. They have beer and wine and soda and so on. So great place, a nice beach area. There's not like beaches all up and down the river. It's a river, but this area does have a nice beachy area that you can hang out, and the kids can swim, or everyone can swim. So really, really fun. Burke's Canoes in the river area is just, it's been a long time staple. I mean, it's kind of like, it's a tradition in Russian River area that if you're coming up to the river, you rent a canoe at Burke's, and they give you like a self-guided tour. It says on their website that if you got in your canoe and did the self-guided tour that they send you on down the river, it would take like 3.5 hours. But most people rent these things for the greater part of the day, and they'll beach them up somewhere and hang out and swim and jump out of the canoe and get wet, whatever. So super fun. Burke's Canoes, you got to check that out if you come up into the area. Downtown Guerneville is about 3 blocks long. These storefronts kind of look like they were lost in time. They have not changed since, way back when. But behind these old storefronts are some really cool little shops, hip cafes, some restaurants, a couple old bars that have kind of survived time. It doesn't take long to get through downtown, but it is really fun. There's still an old theater there. I believe they're restoring the old theater right now. But cool little town, great little place to, find little things. There's everything you need out there. If you lived in Guerneville, they have a Safeway, they have a big main grocery store. But other than that, you're coming back into Santa Rosa. There's not going to be a Target or a Costco or even really a lot of shopping. So, and that's what people like, and that's what attracts people to live out there, is that they don't live around all that commerce. Other than having a grocery store, which is a major convenience, you're gonna take that 20-minute drive back into Santa Rosa and do all the things you need to do there, doctor's appointments and so on. So that is kind of the draw to the area. What else? There's the Northwood Golf Course. It's a great little 9-hole golf course. It's so beautiful because, again, there's redwood trees all along the course. If you just are not wanting to do a whole day of 18 holes, it's a great little 9-holer. Beautiful setting. There is a restaurant and bar. It's a fun little place, and it's right on the river as well. As you're coming in down River Road, right before you get into Guerneville proper in the little communities, you're going to pass Corbel Winery. Corbel, famous Corbel champagne is right there. Great stop for a little tasting. They do tours. They have a wonderful deli in there where they do sandwiches and salads and stuff. You can get your picnic supplies there if you want. You can have, you can eat them there at the winery or take them down to the river once you get into town. They have a cool history. Corbel has been there for so many years. The Corbel brothers actually came over from France making cigars. That's what brought them here to America. Settled up here in the Sonoma County area, and then shifted over to Champagne. So Corbel is a great stop on your way into town, or while you're there visiting. And then there's also the Rio Neto area. Rio Neto is a little community right before you get into Guerneville. As I said, I stayed there when I was a kid, and it has an area called the Rio Neto Roadhouse. There's a swimming pool, basketball courts, this big lawn area with a stage. And so in the summer and fall, when the weather is warm evenings, they have music. And there's the Roadhouse is a bar and a restaurant. And it's fun, really fun place. It's been there since I was a child and is still operating today. So great little stop as well while you're visiting the area. The beauty again of Guerneville is you're sitting kind of right between. If you go back east, you're back in Santa Rosa and the rest of Sonoma County. So if you're planning a stay, whether you're living here or just coming for a visit, you can come back and shoot right up to the Healdsburg restaurants or the Santa Rosa restaurants. You can get over to Sebastopol in minutes from Guerneville. And then if you keep heading out west, you're out on the Pacific coast in not much time at all. And you can enjoy everything that the coast has to offer as well. The weather is quite warm in the summer out there in Guerneville, but because it is the proximity to the coast is a little bit closer, the evenings can cool off, which again, everyone enjoys. So housing, what does it look like to live out there, or even if you're just gonna rent an Airbnb? Housing is super unique out there. There is a wide range of what you get. Some of the old, like we call them summer cabins, some of the old summer cabins that were built back in the 30s and 40s, or you don't see too many anymore from the 1910 and 1920, but you'd be surprised how many are still standing from the 30s and 40s, and some could really use a little updating. And others have been beautifully updated. Some have been torn down and new homes have been built there. When I say new over time. So there is a wide range of ages of homes, sizes of homes, Most homes out there are on septic systems. I mean, some of these old, cottages and shacks from the days gone by, they still have the like redwood box septic systems. The county is trying to get rid of those. We actually sold a house out there a year or so ago that was one of these old cabins, perched up on a hill, up on the stilts. The views were just unbelievable when you were out on that front deck. But it sold really. I want to say it was like $320,000 or something. Like, just not that expensive. It was sitting on almost a quarter acre, you guys. So it was almost just kind of land value, because that new owner was going to come in, totally redo the whole place, and the county was probably going to make them put a new septic system in. So they're trying to clean all that up out there. But even the homes down on the river, you will see them up on stilts. Why are they up on stilts by the river, you ask? Well, if you ask any old timers that have lived out there for a number of years, they will tell you that almost like clockwork, the river floods over its banks about every 10 years. So over time, these river homes have lifted, elevated, then rebuilt or built up on stilts, so they are out of the floodwater range. Maybe some basement or garage will take on some water, but their main living quarters will stay dry. And honestly, that's the only way they can get insurance anymore, is they have to be built up out of the floodplain. So the river flooded a few years back, and so I even thought to myself, okay, I guess that's it for 10 years. And we've had a super rainy winter this year, and it has come close, but it hasn't come over the banks. So our rains have been spread out enough that it's able to settle back down before the next deluge has come in. So it hasn't gone over yet, and according to history, it shouldn't, because it is like every 10 years if you look back in the flood records that they have. It's kind of crazy. There are some 3 kind of main big events in this area every year that bring people all the time. One is the Russian River Rodeo. It's the end of June every year. It's kind of a big deal. You have to remember, Sonoma County still is very much an agricultural and farming community. A lot of people still in the horse world and the rodeo world, and Russian River area has a great rodeo facility, and they host a big rodeo at the end of June every year. Then in September is the Russian River Jazz Festival, which is right on the river in a few different spots along the river. Like, one of the places is Johnson's Beach. They set up a whole big stage and have jazz bands playing through the whole, it's like a 3-day thing at the end of September. And then every year, the Russian River and Guerneville area there is home to a large LGBTQ community. And every year they have a big Pride weekend. They have not set the date for it this year, which is funny, but it will happen. It will be in the summer, and again is like a 3-day event and is a big deal and brings a huge crowd from the Bay Area up for that weekend as well. So I hope that gives you a better idea of our Guerneville area, Guerneville, and the surrounding communities. It is so beautiful. Do yourself a favor, when you're up in the area, take a ride out there, visit, check out the different places to eat. And we didn't talk about Stumptown Brewery. And Guerneville was nicknamed Stumptown back in the logging days, because I guess there were so many stumps when they would cut down these trees. And so a brewery that opened, it's been there for quite a few years now, but they coined themselves Stumptown Brewery. Fun place to stop. But do yourself a favor, go out there, check it out. It is quite a unique place within Sonoma County. And if you want something that is a little different, everybody just lets you be you. There's no judging out there. Everybody gets along. It is such a cool place. Go see Guerneville. Hit subscribe, click the bell, so you can be notified when we release new videos about everything Sonoma County and Sonoma County real estate. And again, if you want to talk and pick our brains about what's going up here in the real estate market or just Sonoma County lifestyle, always feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.